It was past 2 a.m., and the hospital was supposed to be empty. But someone or something was still watching. What you're about to see isn't just strange. It's terrifying, and it was all caught on CCTV. Watch closely, because you won't believe what happened next. It was 2:37 a.m. When the night nurse first heard it, a faint whisper echoing through Ward B, the hospital was unnervingly quiet. The usual hum of ventilators and heart monitors filling the background, but this sound came from nowhere. It was soft, almost teasing, like a voice brushing past her ear, indistinct yet unmistakable. Footsteps shuffled just outside the window, though the hallway was completely deserted. The sterile fluorescent lights flickered in rhythm with her pounding heartbeat. Emily gripped her flashlight tighter, the metal handle cold and grounding against her clammy palms. Every shadow seemed to stretch and twist along the walls, elongating unnaturally as if reacting to her fear. She moved cautiously from room to room, checking on the patients, each bed seemingly normal at first glance. Yet the whispers persisted, repeating her name, closer, sharper, more deliberate. She felt a chill crawl up her spine, as if invisible eyes were following her with each step. Unable to ignore it, Emily hurried to the nurse's station and switched on the surveillance monitors. The feed of room 12 showed an empty bed, until a shadow flickered into existence beside it. A pale, thin silhouette, impossibly still, its eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Her radio crackled with static, but no voice responded. The figure's head tilted toward the camera, and for a fleeting second, she could swear it smiled, a slow, unnatural grin that made her skin crawl. Panic rising, Emily tried to leave the ward, but the elevator doors refused to budge. The lights around her blinked violently, plunging the station into darkness for a heartbeat before returning. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, repeating her name in impossible, jarring patterns, echoing from every corner of the room. Her own reflection appeared on one of the monitors, multiple versions of herself sitting at the desk. Frozen yet watching, a cold hand brushed her shoulder. Emily spun around, but no one was there. The whisper was closer now, clear, chilling, almost intimate. You shouldn't have come back. Shaken to her core, Emily abandoned her post. She left the hospital that night, and never returned. Some say the ward still whispers her name on quiet nights, calling out to anyone who dares walk its empty halls, beckoning them into the shadows. It was 3:15 a.m. when John, the night security guard, first noticed it. Faint, uneven footsteps echoing on the hospital's 7th-floor staircase. The sound was impossibly deliberate, heavy yet hollow, like someone was measuring each step with intention. Only the night janitor had access to this wing, and he was on the opposite side of the hospital. A chill ran down John's spine as he approached the stairs, flashlight cutting through the suffocating darkness, its beam trembling slightly in his hand. The first few steps beneath his boots were eerily silent. The echoes behind him persisted, soft but insistent, growing louder with each heartbeat. John froze and glanced back. The staircase seemed different, longer, wider. Each landing stretched unnaturally into the shadows, as if the building itself had been warped in the night. A cold draft whispered past him, carrying with it an almost imperceptible hissing sound. At the top of the stairs, a shadow waited, featureless, impossibly thin, its head cocked at a strange, unnatural angle. It didn't move at first, but its presence filled the stairwell with a pressure John could feel in his chest. Every instinct screamed at him to turn and flee, but his legs felt rooted to the spot. He reached for the radio. "Back up," he whispered, but the frequency was nothing but static, a harsh, grating sound that seemed to mock him. Looking down, John's stomach sank. The staircase beneath him was gone, replaced by an endless black void, a void that seemed to swallow the faint glow of his flashlight. The shadow took a step forward, then another. Every step reverberated unnaturally, louder and faster, echoing through the stairwell like a drum of approaching doom. John's breath came in shallow gasps, and the oppressive silence of the hospital faded into nothing, leaving only the sinister rhythm of those steps. When morning came, surveillance cameras on the staircase revealed a frame that would haunt anyone who saw it. A lone man was walking up the steps, just like John. But behind him, dozens of identical shadows stretched endlessly into darkness. All frozen mid-step, their featureless faces turned toward the camera, as if silently observing, silently waiting. No one could explain where they came from, or why the staircase seemed to fold into another world in the dead of night. It was 1:42 a.m. When the ICU monitors first started behaving strangely. Machines beeped in their usual rhythm, but something was off. Each monitor seemed to reflect a slightly altered version of reality. Like the hospital itself was fragmenting into multiple overlapping layers. Beds that had been occupied moments ago appeared empty, while empty beds showed faint, indistinct forms moving beneath the sheets. Nurses and doctors were captured on the monitors, moving in ways that didn't match reality, hands twitching unnaturally, heads tilting at impossible angles. Clara, the night nurse, rubbed her eyes in disbelief, pressing her palms to her face as the dim fluorescent lights above flickered intermittently. She looked back at the central monitor and froze. Her own reflection stared back at her, a perfect copy, but it was smiling. A slow, deliberate smile that she hadn't made. Her pulse quickened as a chill crawled down her spine. The steady hum of the ventilators suddenly feeling ominous and oppressive. Then, the reflection spoke in her voice, but not her. "You belong here now." The words echoed in the silent ICU, as if the room itself had swallowed them and spat them back just for her. Clara's breath caught. She spun around, expecting to see someone behind her, but the room was empty. Only the low mechanical whir of the ventilators filled the air, punctuated by the occasional flicker of the overhead lights. She blinked at the monitor again. Her reflection's smile had widened, and its eyes seemed to glimmer with a life of their own. It moved independently, tilting its head, beckoning her toward the screen with a slow, deliberate gesture. Clara's hands shook as she turned toward the exit, her footsteps echoing unnaturally across the polished floor. But no matter which door she tried, she always ended up back in the ICU. The same flickering monitors staring at her with a hypnotic insistence. Her heart raced, pounding so loudly she could hear it over the hum of the machines. Shadows stretched along the floor from the patients' beds, bending and elongating as if they had a life of their own, reaching toward her with tendrils of darkness that seemed almost tangible. She stumbled toward the central monitor once more, and the screens suddenly flashed static. The room plunged into darkness for a brief heartbeat before the flickering lights returned. The shadows of the patients writhed unnaturally across the floor, their shapes contorting into grotesque angles, merging and splitting in ways that defied reality. Clara's reflection on the monitor leaned closer, whispering her name over and over, beckoning her into the cold glow of the screens. And then, she was gone. The next morning, the day staff found the ICU empty. With no sign of Clara, her shift log remained open, her ID badge still on the desk, but she had vanished completely. The monitors displayed nothing unusual to the day crew. All was quiet, orderly, mundane, but those who worked night shifts afterward told stories. On quiet nights, they swear they see her silhouette in the central monitor's reflection, standing still, watching silently, waiting for the next person to notice. Some even claim her reflection moves slightly, smiling when no one else is looking. A silent invitation to join her in the shifting, impossible reality of the ICU after dark. The room has remained, unchanged yet subtly different, a place where shadows bend, reflections act independently, and reality becomes fluid for anyone unlucky enough to witness it during the late hours. And the whispers, her voice still echo faintly, a warning, or perhaps a promise. You belong here now.